When I grow up, I wanna love what I do. And then when I grow up, a coach can help me get a clue. Hi everyone, welcome back to Grown Up Gigs, an inside look at dream jobs held by real people. And I am here with just an amazeballs lady. She's a life coach, she's a published author, she's a mom. She is Andrea Owen. It's so great to have you. I feel like, we literally just kind of met 15 minutes ago.
I know. Yeah.
But after reading your book, which I devoured, such a wonderful, inspiring, vulnerable, honest read.
Thank
So
you.
great. And just knowing you from the interwebs, I just can't wait to talk your face off. I know that you're going to have so much to give us here. So thank you so much for being here.
Awesome. I'm honored.
Yay. Okay, I have to start each Grown Up Gigs, it's a law, with the question, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I had a feeling you were going to ask me that. I was getting ready this morning and I was like, oh my gosh. So this is sort of hilarious. When I was really little, I thought that people lived in the stoplights and like saw people coming and then would make the light green. Like that's what I wanted to do. And I was like, what a cool job. And then I wanted to be an ice cream truck driver. Not, big aspirations for Andrea. Oh, cool. You get all the ice cream you want. And then
that's a good, that honestly, like, I could connect the dots with that. Why do you think being the stoplight person?
And why do I remember that? I had to have been like in kindergarten.
It's so
I don't
cute.
know.
It's the cutest thing ever known to man.
Yeah. And then when I got a little bit older, like in high school, when a lot of my friends were taking the SATs and applying to colleges and, we're even picking majors. And I was like 17. All I knew is that I wanted, another bodysuit and these new Doc Martens and early 90s. And
I knew you set the stage right there. I knew exactly where we were. Right.
I didn't even take the SATs because I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I was so like in the moment and I didn't really care and I wasn't. A lot of entrepreneurs, they like had lemonade stands and they were entrepreneurs from a young age. I was not that person. All I knew was that I didn't like to be told what to do. But I knew I was a go-getter. And then when I entered the corporate world, kind of jumping ahead here, but
yeah, no, please.
I knew I could climb the ladder because I was good at it. And I actually beat out a bunch of other interns for a job as an assistant buyer for the juniors department of a large chain of surf shops in Southern California. Cool. So I got this amazing job and I freaking hated it.
Was that right out of high school?
I was 21.
Okay.
So it was right out of college. I went to like a fashion school. I got an AA and I hated it. The boss there was horrible and I got written up for insubordination and they were just mean and it was a privately owned company and and then I kind of realized, okay, Andrea, you have to play the game. Like if you're going to climb the corporate ladder and you want to make six figures and, in your 20s, I had to sort of, I don't know, like be a doormat. And then that's what I did. And I did it for about a year. And then I was
not you. It's so
I know,
not
right?
you. It's so, I barely know you and I know that that's not you. It's so not you.
I had to learn it the hard way.
Uh-huh.
Like the lesson there was I definitely learned how to not treat employees.
It's an important lesson.
And that morale, if you have staff, their morale is more important than you can ever imagine.
I don't understand, I don't, having my own sort of corporate background and my share of just abusive bosses, let's just call it what it is. It's a form of abuse. I never understood it because I always thought of it as I'm on your side. I'm here to help you. Why
I'm
are
making
you
you money?
I'm making you money. I'm here to make things easier for you. I'm here because I'm qualified to do this job, and there was obviously something that you saw that I could bring to the table. Why are you treating me like I'm the enemy? Exactly. So I love this. We're going through your timeline, which is great. I'm always just so fascinated by this. So from fashion degree in college to this dream job that ended up being a terrible job.
Mm-hmm. It was definitely like I saw the movie The Devil Wears Prada and I was like, that was my life, except in the surf industry and not couture. It was bad. And so I left and I, come to find out it was just a revolving door. And then I left and went and I did something so fun. I said, okay, forget that. It's not about the money. I am going to dress mannequins and windows for a living, like Rhoda on Mary Tyler Moore Show. And I did, and it was so fun. And I worked with some amazing people and got to dress mannequins and for a large department store and started, decorating for Christmas in September. And it was so fun. And then one day I looked out at the promotions and what I could climb and be, and I didn't want to do that. And it wasn't for me forever. I'd always been fascinated with science. I love science. And I went back to school to finish my bachelor's in exercise physiology because I loved the fitness industry. So that's what I did. And I finished and I worked in that industry for a little while. And I was a personal trainer and I loved it. However, again, having to work for someone. And that was okay, but I wanted to do it my way. And what happened was I realized I had clients who wanted to get in shape for what I felt were the wrong reasons. And it was, and you and I were just talking, before we started the recording, like you can't want it more than your clients. And I did. And so I had to leave. And there was this one client I had in particular, and she was wanting to lose weight because they were having trouble conceiving a child, and her husband, she wasn't even overweight to what I thought, and her husband had bought her personal training sessions, and her self-esteem and self-confidence were just so terrible, and I wanted so badly to help her in that area of her life, not help her on the Bosu ball.
Right.
So it was at that moment I knew I had to leave, and then that's when I found coaching.
My gosh. I love this because you're showing just like your Renaissance soul tendencies, which I associate with, as do like 97% of the people that I work with and talk to, but yet we're not like out there in terms of society seeing us as being like, oh, there are people that have multiple like talents and interests and skills and passions, and they're a viable part of our society. They're not people that should be shunned or made to feel bad, or
we just have weird looking resumes.
Oh, we do have weird looking resumes, and I'm really, 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 really hoping. I feel like we're on the cusp of change, knock on wood, with more traditional jobs, seeing that stuff as a good thing, and seeing our outside interests and being Etsy shop owners or former retail buyers and window dressers to then translate into something else, that they're seeing it as a positive thing and a skill set. And I just loved how you found your way. It was by doing and then realizing, this isn't what's next, but it got you to the next step where you want to be.
Yeah, and I love personality assessments, and I was taking those and then realizing that I had been apologizing my whole life for this person that I inherently was. So, I would get things like, you need to be a CEO. You need to be, like, you don't take authority well. And, our culture says, shame on you.
Right.
You bossy pants. When really, I just was a great leader.
I love hearing you say this, and I think especially as a woman, not to gender stereotype us, but it's absolutely true. And we get so much of our worth and our value from what we do for others that it feels sometimes selfish that we want to do something for ourselves. And I hear that a lot from my clients in more traditional jobs, and they go, no, but I shouldn't want anything else. I have this good job, and that it should be enough. And I should be happy. I have a stable job, or I'm making a lot of money. But when it all boils down to it, they don't care about the stability, and they don't care about the money. They want to feel fulfilled and on purpose in other ways. So the fact that you saw that and embraced it and went to it, I know for me, when I really came to terms with the fact that I wanted to be a life coach, it was like I resisted the hell out of it because it seemed like it was flaky and it wasn't stable and it was me being my own boss when I'm like, no, I want something to be easy. Like, did you feel that resistance towards it at all?
Towards when I decided to become a life coach?
Yeah.
Well, from other people, absolutely. Like, people were like, what?
Wait, when was this? What year was this?
That's cute. It was in 2006, and it was also right when my whole life fell apart. Right. And I had actually heard about life coaching a few years before, maybe like 2 or 3 years before I heard that it was this like actual profession that was up and coming. And I was like, that'd be the coolest thing ever. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of life experience, and I thought you needed to have life experience. So 2 years after that, 3 years after that, my husband at the time had an affair and got his girlfriend pregnant. We got divorced, and then I entered this like horrible relationship with a con man. Basically, I got conned out of all his money, and it was like totally the fetal position on the floor in my empty apartment that I had about to move out of, and I quit my job, my total rock bottom. And I was like, I think now's the time. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. So I'm like, I'm just going to sign up for coaching. And so definitely my circle was like, are you sure?
And meanwhile, this was like, what, your 4th career change?
Easily, yeah.
Your 4th career change.
So I honestly don't think there was anyone that was super supportive, including my parents. I mean, they weren't jerks about it, but they weren't like, oh my God, that's awesome.
They looked at you sideways. Yeah, they looked at you sideways. I mean, I started my coach training in 2007, so I know what the landscape was back then, and it was very much, what's a life coach? What is that? Do you actually make money from it? Yes. How do you go to school for that? Like,
my college advisors even said that. They wanted me just to do personal training and own my own business, and that's what you'd be great at. And they were really wary of it. And I don't blame them, because it was at that time an industry that wasn't well known, and it's still a little bit, I think, judged, I guess is the best word.
Right.
But yeah, at the time people thought I was nuts. And maybe I was a little bit, but at least I didn't care.
Right. Exactly. So you were like, I know this is it. This is what I want to move forward doing. And I would think too, with all the career changes that you had, and it sounds like even though it wasn't the right fit for you, you did very well in each of those areas as you were there. Was there trust?
Was my plan B.
Yeah.
I always had something to fall back on. That's where I took sort of just reassurance that if this doesn't work out, I can always go back to the gym. I can always go back to dressing mannequins at Macy's. I always have something I can do.
Oh, so so you decided, so you left the gym and decided I'm going to be a life coach and started training?
I started training, and it was right around the time I also got remarried and started having babies. So that was also like this other job I was doing, which was kind of a big deal. So it took me from 2007 until 2010 to go through all of the schooling. And I know that's a little bit of your story too. All the schooling and finally like graduate and do all the testing and get my certification. And then that's when I launched Your Kick-Ass Life.
Oh, exciting. So that was like 2010 around then?
It was 2010. It was September of 2010. My daughter had just turned 1. My son had just turned 3. And luckily, and I'm always really transparent, my husband at the time was our primary source of income. But it was still tough. There was many times where he was like, are you going to start to make money?
You knew it was going to be a lean time. And so it seems like you guys worked together to know, okay, this is going to be a lean time, but it'll work out in the end.
I know. It's going to work.
Hopefully. And the fact of having that plan B, that makes a lot of sense, so that if you went to go do it and it didn't work out full time, it didn't work out the way you wanted to, it seems like it would be, I don't want to say easy, but to go back to personal training, go back to window dressing, that sounds like it could even be a part-time job if you wanted it to be.
That was actually a time when I was still going through certification, I believe, and we got to a point where it was like, and when you're first starting your business, money's going in to the business. You can't just start a business on $0.
Right.
So I did. I went and interviewed at my gym down the street, and they wanted to hire me, and I got the contract. And really, it was such a kick in the ass to me because I saw how much money I would be making, and I was like, no, this I am so much more qualified to go back to this. So, and if we were desperate, I would have done it.
Right.
But we weren't. We weren't destitute. We still had food on the table, and it was really like that push, like don't settle, Andrea. You need to just work smarter.
Yeah. So how did it look? I mean, having these babies and, being in school, but also I would think having an eye towards the business stuff. That's kind of did too. Is there any sort of takeaways or like tips and tricks that you could say really helped you in that time, not make your head explode?
I think that, yes. So originally when I started and I had babies, I thought I'll just work when they nap and or when they go to bed. And that worked for like a day, and it was too difficult. Like nap time, you can never rely on it. So I couldn't schedule clients. And by the time 8 o'clock rolled around, I was just so tired. There was no way I could get on the phone and coach people even like write a meaningful blog post that was valuable. So I broke down and I had to find childcare. So that was one. And then also and then this is something still years later that I have to remind myself of, is that I have 2 small children, and my business should look different than my colleagues who have been doing this as long as I have and don't have kids, because they have twice as much, if not more, time than I do. And also my income looks different because my expenses are bigger, because I have a chunk of my income is going to childcare. And also I pay for a virtual assistant to make up for the time that I can't do certain things. So my expenses are sometimes 50%, which is ouch.
But lots of write-offs. Lots of
write-offs, yeah. And if you don't know, like usually around 25-30 is like where your expenses for this kind of business are. But yeah, lots of write-offs, and it's just a remind. I think the biggest takeaway is just to remind yourself that you're just gonna, don't go down the compare and despair rabbit hole.
Keep your eyes on your own paper.
Yes.
Keep your eyes on your own paper. Which I think really lends itself really well to the next question too, because here you have this book that came out. When did it come out officially? It's only a few months
December 18th.
That again is so wonderful that everyone should just get, because it's like one of those really, really enjoyable reads. And quick, like each way, 52 ways. Each way is so quick, but yet you're getting so much out of it that it's one of those books that like you finish and you kind of want to start it all over again, and you could finish it really quickly, and you want to give it to that friend that like is, the Debbie Downer. Like I want to give it to my Debbie Downer friends to be like, here.
I know the author. Here. That's why I'm giving it to you.
Here. I got this for free. I didn't read it and think of you at all. But even if you're not in a Debbie Downer place, it's just, there were so many takeaways. I highlighted so much in my Kindle on perfectionism and uniquity and comparison and taking action. It was all just fantastic stuff. But I know that this book was like a total labor of love that you pushed out into the world, obviously. So talk us through now, like you have your site up, you're kind of working, you're done with your certification, you're working more steadily as a coach. How did this book come to be?
It was one of those things. I'd wanted to write a book since I was 11. I was a voracious reader. And I just, when I started the business, I knew I wanted to write something in self-help, but I wasn't sure what. I loved the late Richard Carlson's Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, so I kind of knew the model of what I was going to do. And how it came about was, what kind of really birthed it was I got sober 2.5 years ago. I've been, I have flirted with every addiction in the world, and it's just in my DNA, and I saw alcoholism coming in quick. And I nipped it in the bud. I have what's called a high bottom. I don't have a tragic rock bottom story about that. And
amen and hallelujah.
Yeah. Sometimes like I'll hear people's like tragic rock bottom story, and I'm kind of like, that's a good story. Like, but I have other stories. Like I don't need my
that. Right. You don't want to live that. You don't want to live that in order to have a good story.
Don't need it.
Go there. Yeah.
So anyway, I got out early, as they say, I have a high bottom. And 3 months later, I decided, you know what? I am going to stop wishing about this and stop having the jealousies over people that do it. And I picked traditional publishing, and everyone said I was crazy. But I had had a picture of it since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And just because the publishing industry changed didn't change my dream. So I wanted it to look a certain way, and I knew it was going to be harder in certain ways. And I really kind of manifested it. Like, I wrote down exactly how I wanted it to look and really let go of the outcome, which was hard. And it happened that way. I am still astounded on how it all worked out. So I knew it was my life's mission. I knew the universe had my back. And like you said, I wanted it to be like easily digestible, because some self-help can be heavy. I wanted anyone to just look at the 52 table, the table of contents, and go, "Ooh, that's what I need help on," and read 850 words about it.
Right. That's amazing. So then how did you find the publishing house?
So I actually have it right here. So my former coach, Gina Gabellini, has this product called Speed Dial the Universe.
Oh, cool.
And it's a journal where you just write down, it's like gratitude and what do you want to do today? What do you need to let go of? And one of her questions is my wild hair intention. Wouldn't it be awesome if ... And you just like write down this crazy shit. Like, oh, wouldn't it be awesome if I got a check from the IRS for $10,000 from 2009? You're like, ha.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Right? Wouldn't it? Like, and that's what mine were sometimes. And one day I wrote, wouldn't it be awesome if a publisher contacted me and wanted to publish my book? So I had been blogging about my journey of writing the book, sort of just because I needed something to write about, and I thought people might be interested in this. It was never a marketing strategy, but it ended up working. And so there was an editor out there from Adams Media Publishing Group who was cruising the web and sent me an email and said, "Hey, I saw your blog that you were writing a book. Have you published it? I'd love to chat with you if you don't have a publisher yet." And I was like, what? This was 5 days after I wrote that entry. I kid you not. I had a phone call with her and made sure and checked out to see that they were legit. They were. And then I had to scramble to get an agent and got the agent I wanted. And of course, I think it was a little bit easier because she knew I had an interested publisher.
Of course.
She did push my book out to other publishers, and I got rejected like many times. And then since that offer was on the table, we had to kind of act. And the way publishing works is, it takes a while. So if you want, for self-help, they like things to come out in January. So I had to sign the deal the previous January. So her advice was take it. And they were an amazing publisher. That my advance wasn't huge, but for a first-time author with no writing credentials, I mean, just to get a deal in itself was amazing.
Absolutely.
So that's how it worked. I mean, it was sort of just, it all fell into place. It was amazing.
The more I do this work, the more I become the hippy-dippy person that initially I was so resistant to when I first decided to be a life coach. I'm like, no, people are going to think I'm this hippy-dippy weirdo. And now I am. I'm the hippy-dippy weirdo because I have my own version of that story, and I've just heard it over and over, like in terms of that weird law of attraction, secret sort of stuff, but not in a way that was like, oh, I really wanted a milkshake, and so I was like, universe, could I have a milkshake? And then a milkshake appeared. It's like, it doesn't work that way, but it works in terms of you writing down, wouldn't it be great if a publisher contacted me? You putting it on your blog, you talking about it, just opening up your mouth and talking about what it is you want and what you're working on and what's important to you. Yeah. It just makes all the difference in the world. Like, that's when the doors just start opening.
Energy is an amazing thing. And it's so interesting. I went to college for science, and my degree is in exercise physiology, which is all about energy. And it's it's really not that different from the energy that thoughts and articulations happen, because I have found that And two, I should add to that process, I was also not just writing about it and journaling about it, but I was also getting coaching on it. And one of, a couple of my sessions revolved around what did I want to get out of it? I mean, because as you know, Michelle, it's not necessarily about the thing that we want. Like what did I think was on the other side? And that was about recognition and validation. I mean, those were things that I kind of wanted, like, I don't want anyone to know, but I'm like, yes, I do. Like, I worked my ass off. I have almost 39 years worth of wisdom, and wisdom is just from healed pain. Like, I want it to not be for naught. I wanted people to benefit. I still get tears from getting emails from people saying that their life has changed from something they read, that what I wrote, and like, that's why I do it. And giving voice to that is so powerful. That is more powerful than spending 8 hours on your marketing calendar.
Right. It's being on purpose, and it's being, I want to put this in the right way, and I'm what's coming to me is like making a living from your truth and your authenticity and what you know. I mean, these were like your 52 biggest life lessons in this book, and I got that, and it made me think like, oh, what would my 52 ways be? Like, what are my biggest life lessons, and what would I want to share to others? Yeah. And I think that's what, hopefully there's going to be a shift in the career landscape. And I think what more and more people are going to realize that they could do, that they can make a living and be working on a day-to-day basis, those things that are, their truth and their validation and their personality and their authenticity.
Yeah.
Super exciting.
Everyone has a story, and and even if you don't make it your career, just don't. The takeaway is like, don't be ashamed of your story, and someone out there can benefit from it.
Always. We have to wrap up in a few minutes, but I think I'd love to end on like the note of, what's the one thing you want people to know about being a life coach and a published author and a mompreneur, if you're not, like, if that doesn't make you want to throw up. Put that in quotes. What's the one thing that you want people to know about all those hats that you wear?
I think today, this answer might change day to day, but I think that life coaching, it's sort of become like the career du jour. And while I think that's amazing, because I think that everybody can benefit from coaching, I think it's great that there's more coaches out there in the world that are helping others. It's still a business that you have to work at, and it's going to take you a while to create the income that you need. And it's a lot of hustle. It's a lot of patience. It's a lot of perseverance. And so don't give up hope is what I'm trying to say, is that, I have people come to me, half of my clients are for life stuff, and half of them are brand new coaches that need mentoring in their business. And a lot of them come to me under the notion that they think that they're going to quit their day job in like 2 or 3 months. And I love their enthusiasm, but it's still like any other business. It just takes, it's going to be working your ass off. And like, I don't, what I just said about energy being so important rather than marketing, like they are both important so much. It's about the energy, and it's about hard work. And I think that, that's today my answer. It's that it's an amazing career, and one that you can do, but you need to be intentional about it, and you need to be patient and work hard.
Amen and hallelujah. I think that was really well said and absolutely truthful. And I think it goes to show that life coaching is more than life coaching. It's being an entrepreneur. And so you have to want to be an entrepreneur, unless you decide to go the route of like trying to get hired in like the corporate world or something and do something
contracts,
full-time contracted stuff. But that's still, there's an entrepreneurial piece of that too. So it seems like you just bringing that to the surface and reminding us that like being a life coach, being an author also, being a writer, being a mom, being a Renaissance soul. It's like we have to do our own hustle.
Yeah, for sure.
Exciting. So exciting. Thank you again so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
Yay, go visit Andrea at yourkickasslife.com. Get her book. Oh my God, there it is. It's gorgeous. Look at that cover.
You can't miss it. Is it pink in it?
Miss it. so exciting. And come and visit me at whenigrowupcoach.com. Thanks for joining us. See you soon. That was Amazeballs.